Groundhog Day, the beloved 1993 comedy about a weatherman stuck reliving the same day over and over again, is one of those films that just keeps on giving. It's one of those movies that once you've seen it, you can't help but find yourself quoting it on an endless loop, pun intended. But what if I told you that the star of this cult classic, Bill Murray, absolutely hated making the film? Yes, you read that right. Murray, who delivered an iconic performance as Phil Connors, the grumpy, self-centered weatherman, was actually miserable throughout much of the production. You'd think a man who made millions and cemented his place in pop culture history with such a role would have had a blast on set.
I think it's an extraordinary movie. Yeah. It's in the Library of Congress. It's a very important movie. The premise of that film is a great one, and the execution is very, very good. So, I mean, I don't take a lot of credit for it. The kid whose idea it was, Danny Rubin, is a great, he was touched by God when he wrote that. He really was.
But no, let's rewind and break down the reasons behind his tension-filled experience. If you thought that the making of Groundhog Day was all laughs and high fives, think again. While the script, written by Danny Rubin, had a brilliant comedic base, Bill Murray wanted something deeper. Murray's vision for the film was far more philosophical. He wanted the film to explore the human condition, life's meaning, and existentialism. Meanwhile, director Harold Ramis, who had worked with Murray before on Caddyshack and Ghostbusters, saw the film as a comedy first and foremost. Murray's desire to inject more profound themes into the film caused a rift between him and Ramis, who, despite their previous successes together, disagreed on the direction of the project. According to Murray, Groundhog Day could be a meditation on life and its meaning, while Ramis kept trying to remind him that it was still a comedy. And as you can imagine, a philosophical Murray battling with a comedic Ramis made for a pretty tense set.
At one time, Bill Murray and Harold Ramis were best friends on screen and off, starring or working together on Ghostbusters, Groundhog Day, Animal House, and Caddyshack. But in a Daily Mail TV exclusive, new details about why and how these comic geniuses became enemies is finally being revealed.
Aside from the creative differences, there's a rumor that Groundhog Day marked a turning point in Murray's career, and not in a good way. Bill Murray had already made a name for himself as the quirky, lovable oddball in Caddyshack, Ghostbusters, and other hits. But by the time Groundhog Day came around, Murray was starting to feel that his partnership with Harold Ramis was becoming too successful. Murray was worried that the public would start seeing him solely as a product of Ramis's direction and not as a versatile actor on his own. Could that have contributed to his frustration on set? Absolutely. The more they worked together, the more Murray may have feared that people would only think of him as the guy from all those Ramis comedies.
First off, what can you tell us about their friendship?
Well, details of their acrimonious feud are being shared by Violet, Harold's daughter, in her new book, Ghostbusters' Daughter. She talks about the fact that Bill became increasingly difficult to work with over the years, and she thought he might in part blame Harold for his success, having been a big part of his major movies such as Caddyshack and Ghostbusters, and that it all came to a head on the set of Groundhog Day.
It's like when a musician gets tired of playing the same hit song over and over again. But in Murray's case, it was several hit songs, all written by the same guy. As if there weren't enough stress on set with the creative disagreements, Murray was also going through a painful personal situation. During filming, he was in the middle of a divorce from his first wife, Margaret Kelly. As anyone who's been through a tough breakup can attest, personal issues can often seep into your work, whether you like it or not. Murray reportedly became difficult on set, showing up late and throwing tantrums whenever the mood struck. Producer Trevor Albert recalled that the whole production felt tense because of Murray's mood swings. The actor was clearly struggling with personal demons, and unfortunately it affected his behavior on set, making the process less enjoyable for everyone involved. Fast forward to the aftermath of Groundhog Day. While the film became a classic, Murray's relationship with Harold Ramis didn't. Their disagreements over the film, combined with Murray's personal turmoil, led to a complete fallout between the two. They didn't speak for over 20 years after the movie's release. In a later interview, Ramis was candid about their falling out, revealing that Murray became irrationally mean and unavailable during filming.
She said that one day her father Harold, who famously had a very even temper, slammed Bill against the wall and grabbed him by the collar because things had just become so difficult and strained between the two. And at that point, they didn't speak for another 20 years.
All right, so there was actually a physical altercation on set. Did this feud ever come to an end?
Happily, it did, Jesse. Violet writes that shortly before her father passed away, Bill Murray showed up at 7 o'clock in the morning with a police escort and donuts, and the two spent the day together laughing. And after Harold passed away, of course, Bill famously gave a touching eulogy about him at the Academy Awards.
Ramis even admitted to feeling like a parent scolding a child, saying, "What I'd want to say to him is just what we tell our children. You don't have to throw tantrums to get what you want. Just say what you want." Their friendship remained strained until Ramis's health deteriorated in the years before his passing. It wasn't until just before Ramis died that the two finally reconciled. Murray visited Ramis in the hospital, bringing donuts and sharing some heartfelt moments, despite Ramis being unable to speak. It's a bittersweet ending to a legendary collaboration.
The world has lost a comedy icon. Actor, writer, and director Harold Ramis died Monday of complications from an autoimmune disease. Known more for his work behind the camera than in front, Ramis was the man who brought us beloved comedies like National Lampoon's Vacation, Animal House, and Groundhog Day. And you may have heard of his directorial debut. Oh yeah, Caddyshack, which is considered one of the greatest comedies of all time.
Despite his initial disdain for Groundhog Day, you might be surprised to know that Bill Murray eventually made peace with the movie and with its legacy. When a Broadway version of the film was created, Murray shocked everyone by attending the show not once, but twice. He even got emotional watching it. The idea that we just have to try again, Murray said, tearing up at the show's powerful message. He went on to commend the cast and crew for their dedication and shared his admiration for the work they did.
Way of showing it all day long. You know, that's it. I'm also in Scrooged, which they show all day long too on Christmas. So I'm trying to cover all the holidays, the major ones and the minor ones. Why is it that it's on, or why?
Why do you think it has such longevity? Because I wasn't the only person watching it. I talked to at least 40 or 50 people who watched it.
I think it's an extraordinary movie. Yeah. It's in the Library of Congress. It's a very important movie. The premise of that film is a great one, and the execution is very, very good. So, I mean, I don't take a lot of credit for it. The kid whose idea it was, Danny Rubin, is a great. He was touched by God when he wrote that. He really was.
This moment marked a full circle for Murray. What once caused him so much anguish was now something he could appreciate for its impact and depth. Now, after decades of internal conflict and eventual reconciliation, would Bill Murray ever consider revisiting the role of Phil Connors in a Groundhog Day reboot? According to his co-star Andie MacDowell, absolutely not. First of all, Bill Murray's never gonna do it, she said. After living Phil's monotonous loop for the entirety of the production, it's clear that Murray is more than content leaving that role in the past. So while Groundhog Day may be one of the most iconic films of all time, it's also a reminder that even the greatest movies come with their own backstage drama. Bill Murray may have hated making the film, but the world will forever be grateful that he brought Phil Connors to life. As for the rest of the cast and crew, let's just say they were all stuck in a Groundhog Day of their own, fighting through the tension to make a movie that would go down in history. So here's to Bill Murray, always unpredictable, sometimes difficult, but ultimately unforgettable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for our next video.